Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to my channel, Willow and Moon. On this channel we talk about difficult subjects, real subjects, and really are aimed at building a community of like-minded souls. So today I want to talk about toxic positivity versus authentic self-care and really trying to work out what the difference is. Now I imagine online, if you're on social media or just having family and friends around you, that you notice that people kind of say the odd flippant comment like just look on the bright side, or you need to be grateful for what you have, or just, you know, soldier on, get on with it. Motivation finds you working, or is it inspiration finds you working? Just get on with it, just get going, just stop wallowing and just get on with it. And over the years, I think being brought up in the 80s and 90s, that definitely was the kind of MO. If you were ill, you just kind of got on with it. I remember when I first started my jobs, you very rarely took a day off. If it was the time of the month and you were in a lot of pain, didn't matter, you just had to get on with it. Taking time off school wasn't really something that you did. And then when you started working, I remember just going to work feeling horrendous. When I was self-employed at the age of 26, and so you don't get sick pay and things like that. So that is another thing to think about. That really ties into not taking time off because you don't get paid, but that kind of feeds into carrying on and getting on with it even though you really don't feel very well and you should be resting. And I think toxic positivity is very similar. No matter what your mood is, you're meant to just switch out of it. You're meant to just be grateful and, you know, get a gratitude diary and do something to distract yourself. All of these things on social media to buy that are going to be the magic bullet that make you feel better. All of these supplements, all of this one gadget that you can buy, and all of a sudden your mood is lifted. If you try this new yoga routine, it's going to change your life. And a lot of these things do have their place, but I don't think they are a substitute for really deep feelings. So what's the difference between kind of not wallowing and allowing yourself to go deeper into despair or feeling anxious or feeling tired or whatever, and masking it and therefore not doing yourself any favours in the long run? And that's, to me, where toxic positivity comes in. So dismissing your feelings, not honouring how you're actually feeling mentally, physically, carrying on whether you're depleted, whether you're feeling really overwhelmed, just getting on with it. Why don't you like socialising? Why don't you like going out with lots of people? Really thinking that you should be doing these things because that's what everyone else does. You know, why are you struggling with it so much? Why do you find it tough? Why do you not like having lots and lots in your diary over the week? And if you've had a lot going on, why do you feel so awful when everyone else seems to be having lots of fun and really enjoying it? And I think you have to really start soul searching and thinking about you as a person, and not thinking there's something wrong with you, but honouring the part of you that your gut is telling you that you are. So for me, I've done a lot of research. I've talked about this in a previous video. I'm an INFJ in the 16 personalities, which is very much introverted, deeply empathic, feels every emotion. You walk into a room and you feel every single emotion. And I think a lot of people think being an empath is a real positive. Everybody kind of wants to be an empath. They say that someone who's a sociopath or psychopath has no empathy. And so you want to be the opposite of that, really. But actually being true empathetic is a real challenge. It's exhausting. You notice every facial expression, every piece of body language. You pick up on the vibe, the energy in the room, the vibration, whatever you want to call it. And you start thinking that it's all your fault. It must be something to do with you. It must be something that you said. Maybe I said too much. Maybe I didn't say enough. Maybe I was a bit too opinionated. All of these different things. Even when you've done really nothing, maybe someone doesn't like what I'm wearing. Maybe I'm overdressed. a million things going around in your head. So to be truly empathetic is really exhausting. It's a blessing, but it's also a curse. So what I've discovered is that I have a lot of the traits of ADHD. I don't totally fit into the ADHD category. And then I've noticed there are parts of me that fit with the autism spectrum as well. And I've been looking into ADHD, which seems to fit me like a glove. I'm going to explore more of that. I've only just started to research it, and it's something that made me feel quite emotional when I realised that there's nothing wrong with me. It's just that my brain is wired slightly differently to other people. And what can I do? Not using it as an excuse. What's your intention with a diagnosis or finding out more about it? It's how can I use what I've learned and researched about this to fit better into my own life and my own career and being a mum and a wife. So I will explore a little bit more about that if you want to know more about it. But it started to make me realise that there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just wired a little bit differently, and I just need to think about that with my routines and allow myself to, not using it as an excuse. You don't need to say it outwardly, but say to myself, actually, no, I don't want to do that. So maybe you need to set certain boundaries, be a little bit stronger with your boundaries, it's a tough thing to do, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. So I think that toxic positivity can actually make a sensitive person feel worse. It can make you feel like your emotions and your feelings aren't valid. Just get on with it, and what's wrong with you? You feel like there's something wrong or broken about you when you can't just snap out of it. Or maybe you can mask it, but deep down you can't lie to yourself. Just carrying on even though you feel completely exhausted, you know that it's going to take you so much longer to recover. You're actually going to have a little bit of a breakdown or meltdown, and you know that you are going to be wiped out for days or weeks. It's going to take you a long time to recover. So starting to recognise that pattern and nipping it in the bud before you get to that point where you're completely depleted, when you start to feel your energy levels going down, start saying no to things that you know are going to drain your energy. What else about toxic positivity? Saying these affirmations over and over again, like suddenly you're meant to believe it. It's almost like you're lying to yourself. Affirmations are only good if you set that intention. So that's something that I'm learning through ritual and kind of spell work and manifestation and that kind of thing. It's all about the intention behind it, not about the words that you're saying necessarily. So yeah, I've written down the pressure to love and light through everything, no matter how you're feeling, versus being honest, messy, compassionate, and that's self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is really tough, but oh my goodness, it's almost like the key to breaking through. If you don't feel like you can love yourself at the moment, or even like yourself, accepting yourself might be the first step along that path. Starting to recognise your flaws and your quirks as something that isn't wrong, it's just part of what makes you up, it's part of you, and that's okay. You're worthy, you're lovable, all of these things. There's nothing wrong with you, it's just makes you more endearing, I think. The difference between bypassing and true support. So just being grateful, i.e. it's okay to feel bad, it's okay to feel sad, and it's okay to honour what's going on. I've noticed, and I will go into this a bit more deeply, especially over the last couple of years, I've had an awful lot going on. I've noticed that if I sit with fear or sadness or grief or anger or whatever comes up for me, if I allow those feelings to run through me, then they dissipate. If I start to distract myself or pretend it's not happening, or shake them off, or try and think them away, it just doesn't work. You can't think away a feeling issue. I want to call it a problem because they're not problems, they're signposts. So if I feel fearful or angry or grieving or misunderstood or left out or whatever I'm feeling, I allow myself to feel it. I allow myself to sit with it, and I even take time out to think, well, this is fear, okay, this is anxiety, this is sadness. I actually close my eyes and imagine what it feels like in my body. What does it look like? Does it look like a crystal? Does it look like a colour? Does it look like a shape? Or is it solid? Is it gas? I really try to visualise what it is, and then I sit with it. I don't try and move it on. I don't try to think of things that might try and push it away. Like if you're feeling sad, think of something happy. Just doesn't work. It might for a millisecond or whatever, but in the long run you're just dismissing your feelings, and that's not authentic at all. That's definitely toxic positivity, which is really harmful in the long run. I noticed that feeling, that horrible, nobody likes the feeling, and I think it's perfectly natural and perfectly human to try and push it away. It's not a pleasant feeling, but it's all part of being human. And feeling everything, feeling those sad, negative feelings, if that's what you call them, it allows you to feel the joy. And one of the hardest things for a highly sensitive, empath, anxious person is feeling joy, actually, feeling safe to feel joy. Not having that sense of impending doom when you feel joy, that something bad's going to happen now. Feeling joy is actually one of the most difficult things to feel, and I don't feel like you can even contemplate feeling joy until you started to feel or recognise the bad feelings too, because it's like a seesaw, isn't it? It's a balance. You can't feel joy without the sadness, and if you're constantly trying to keep yourself on an even keel, you don't feel joy either. You don't get the top. What you want, I think, is that the seesaw doesn't go so low. You can still kind of play the game of life without trying to keep even, but you want to be up in the highs more often than you are down in the lows, but not being frightened of the lows and allowing yourself to feel the lows. And in a way, feeling those feelings, they stay for so much less time. I have read somewhere that it takes, if you really sit with it, your bad feelings can leave you within 90 seconds. If you try and dismiss it or push them off or whatever, they'll stay with you for life if you never address them. So I'd love to hear your comments about this. I'd love to hear what you do. You know, have you been kind of fed that narrative over social media, and maybe family members who don't really understand you? Do you feel like the black sheep over years and years of conditioning, and maybe that's not working for you anymore, or maybe overall you're not feeling better? Let me know. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear your experience too. This is all about building a community and talking about these things that a lot of people just don't tend to talk about. Yeah, I'd love to hear your comments, and let me know if there's a video or you would like me to talk more about a certain subject because something's piqued your interest. I'd be more than happy to do that, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Lots of love.